Hey everyone, welcome back to another Fire Friday. I am super pumped about this episode because it is coming to you live from one of my favorite places in the world, Puerto Rico, with the beautiful backdrop of the rainforest. And I get to do so with my dear friend, my partner, my sister, Michelle Vega. And this session is all about helping you dream, motivate, and inspiring you to live and build the life by design. And her being a John Maxwell coach, a mom, an entrepreneur, a woman's woman, a leader, a faith-driven woman. She is definitely someone that we can learn from so that we could truly build a life by design. Michelle, bienvenida. Thank you for being here, my
Hola,
friend.
hola. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Your backdrop is incredible, right where I want to be right now.
I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I should be in the office, but it's just so beautiful, and I kind of feel this peace, and I think it's really
Yes.
intent. It's aligned with what I want to talk about today. Like you are just someone who has just you're always on a mission to just breathe life into people and breathe life into everything you do, the rooms that you walk in, and I just felt like we're going to breathe some life into people
Yes.
dreaming and thinking big and reimagining what their life can be when they think different and they get around the right
Mhm.
circles. And I wanted to share this slice of heaven that I get to
Yes.
go home with
Girl,
you.
if I was there, that's where I would be doing everything. Every call, everything. It's just beautiful. It's so funny you say that because I need to be daily. Like, it doesn't matter what my schedule looks like, at some point, I need to be outside. I need to take in the sun, the air, just kind of connect. It just does something for just my mood. So,
You know,
yes.
been learning that I'm kind of like an earth sign or symbol. I never knew how important just absorbing it all heals me and kind of just brings me this energy of just like, because I'm
Yes.
always on the go, and it really does slow me down. It gives me a moment to just appreciate God's work and the beauty and nature and the power of just being outside. And I want to do more of it. I'm still navigating through that journey, but like now I understand why it does give me so much joy to be here. But anyways, today's about you, my friend. I wanted to just thank you, and like you have such an incredible story. You're a mother. First of all, an amazing mother, an amazing wife. You're heavily involved in your church, but you're also an entrepreneur, and you can do all things. And you're also a coach, John Maxwell coach. So, like, tell us a little bit about you and how'd you get here and what your mission is and how real estate also is a vessel.
Yeah. So grew up in a single parent household. My mom, just such a just powerhouse woman. She and was able to kind of fight for me, my brothers, and kind of instilled a lot, or I got a lot from her as far as what it meant to be resilient, what it meant to kind of push for what you want, a better life for your kids, a better life in general. However, as a single parent, the odds were kind of stacked against her, and we kind of got a little bit of a broken experience of trying to kind of get through. So um, we moved from Puerto Rico here to Florida when I want to say like 10 or 11 years old. And ever since I remember, my mom has always been such a hard worker. I was alongside with her working, every little thing that she could do. I was kind of like her little helper. Um, and I just had this drive, just from seeing her, and seeing how much she sacrificed to kind of push us into a better lifestyle here in Florida when we came from Puerto Rico. And that's kind of how I got started. I was always like that driven little girl, that entrepreneur little girl. I remember my mom, when she came down, one of the things that she did, she used to work at these like retail gift shops, down like by the tourist area. And she will always bring me with her, and I would be like, okay, mom, do this, or here, have that. And we always kind of had that bond together. And So when I got graduated from high school, I had a friend who just said, they had, started in real estate through timeshare. And I was like, she was telling me all about, girl, you just can sell. You need to come and look at this opportunity. And I did. So I kind of had my first run in with, in the business through the timeshare industry.
We have a lot in
And
common. So did I. I mean, timeshare was what was originally introduced to me as the real estate,
yes,
roadmap to freedom. And that's how I got started. And it's so funny you're sharing the story about your mom. Like, my mom was an entrepreneur. I think this is why we're probably attracted. We have so much more in common that we realize. My mom was an entrepreneur. She
yeah,
always had me involved in things. And she basically said, y'all got to work. She was like, I'm going to
yeah.
teach you the value of work ethics. And I watched her build community, and I wanted to follow my mom's footsteps. To me, she's my hero. She's the one who inspired me. So it's crazy how that happened. So how long did you do timeshare for?
So I did timeshare about 2 years, and the story with that was timeshare super fast pace, great money, but horrible environment. And I noticed right away, my husband and I got married. We were high school sweethearts, so we got married right after high school. And as a newlywed mom to be, while money was great, it's just I knew that I was leaning the ladder against the wrong wall. And I
Ooh, did
knew
y'all hear that? That was amazing. She was leaning the ladder against the wrong wall. So that was, money was good, but the environment was toxic, and you weren't aligned with your truth.
100%.
Mm.
And I knew at that moment, I was like, no, this is not the future that I see for my career. So I was you know knew at that moment that we needed to shift, and I entered the mortgage business. So I went back to school, got my mortgage license, and started just working on that field. And I mean, to this day, it was one of the most amazing experiences. I went from being, just a retail loan originator to an wholesale account executive. And then, you know, Adrian joined me. We opened up a mortgage shop, and I did a subsidiary company for processing. So while I was doing wholesale lending, they taught me how to underwrite. So I was like, listen, I'm looking at all these brokers' files, and this was back in, without dating myself, in 06, 07, 08. So, for those of you guys that have been in the business for that long, the kind of, lending practices that, we were seeing back in those days. So I remember looking at all these files that were being submitted to my lender, and I was like, listen, these guys need compliance. And one of those things, when you kind of are like an entrepreneur at heart, you're looking for what's the pulse of the market, what's the need, and then how can I help supply an answer to that need. So that's where my compliance and processing company was born. So we kind of had that on the side, complementing our mortgage business. And we would go into a lot of these broker shops and help them structure files the right way. Kind of coach them on better lending practices, and making sure that files were clean, went through underwriting fine. And man, those were just the glory days for us. And then 2008 happened.
Oh yeah, I remember those days. It was a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, fear, and then people had to make decisions, which is kind of something that we're living right now, right? A lot of
Yes.
people are asking if this is going to be the same as 2008. My professional opinion, no, but it will feel like it when it
Yeah.
comes to anxiety, uncertainty, more for the real estate agents not knowing if they're cut out for this, and they might have to make
Mhm.
decisions. But for those of us who weathered the storm, we remember what it felt like to walk through that. I'd still feel like some of us have PTSD from those days.
PTSD. Well, you know what? You hit it on the nail. I don't think, as well, just like you, we are not in the same landscape as it relates to, what we're seeing with lending practices, even with what the market is looking like. It's different. it feels very familiar and similar, but it's different. And I remember, I remember coming out of that, so to kind of just summarize that little portion, we were doing great. And then, just like when you have never gone through, a big disruptor in your business, you're thinking forward movement, growth. So, we took this great overhead. We had staff that we had to pay salaries for. We were thinking expansion, just because this took everyone a little bit by surprise. And when all of that hit, and I'm telling you, man, we saw it all. I mean, we had closings scheduled, and we had reps coming into the closing saying, "Hey, listen, our lines are frozen. We can't fund these loans." It was
Your
like
world turned upside down like that.
we were just watching one after the other, and we had to pivot. And I think when I think about my stories, I was, I have my birthday coming up this month, and kind of just reflecting on, man, if I can look at a trend, it really has been resilience, right? Just, each part of my story, I have been able to go through it and, pick and really learn from that experience and decide to get to the other side, and that build another muscle of resilience, right? There's a decision that needs to happen when you're going through a difficult time to say, okay, I can stay here, I can go through it and let it transform me, not define me, right? And we got through that, and we shifted quickly. We had to take some time to reassess, how we were going to move forward in business. And in that period of time, and I can say that's not the only one, but that was a big catalyst of me really starting to learn how to be passionate about the whole person, right? Because while all of that was happening, right, I had a marriage, I had a daughter at that time, I had a life, and it was kind of put on hold because we were just in such a great professional growth that a lot of the personal side, of our lives were kind of just taking a little bit of a toll, and when that happened, it felt like catastrophic, but it was the greatest gift because it caused us to really look at where we were and what we wanted our lives to look like moving forward to build strong, right? At that time, I had a 7-year-old little girl. She was amazing, but she didn't have mommy around that much. And, my husband and I worked together, but we got home and all we did was talk about work. And there was just a lot of little things that, were kind of taking a toll, our health, our so many things. I'm sure that a lot of, maybe the people watching that, have built successful, businesses, have built anything that is greater than themselves, can potentially relate. And how sometimes, when you're so hard on the grind, you can forget about the important things. And so for us, that season represented getting back into what was the most important. And I think that's kind of like where that self-awareness, kind of comes in, and allowed us to change our mindset around how we wanted to build this life, right? And so, fast forward from that, we kind of just, pivoted, on how we wanted to move forward with business, move forward with our priorities, and we've built differently now.
So what changed? So, I mean, obviously, I know that you're in coaching, and obviously you guys are heavily involved in your church community. And, she was 7 years old. You were all in on business. You look up and you're like, what does it, you have this thriving business, or you've gotten through a couple different challenges in business, but there's an area of your life you felt like there was still, maybe were you leaning the ladder up against the wrong wall again? And you had to make some changes, right? And what were that? Was that when you got into John Maxwell? Or tell us a little bit about when your awakening and your consciousness of like coaching and balance kicked in, and what did that process look like? Because I know it's not overnight. You have to reprogram yourself, and you have to break some tradition and some habits that you're like, I just gotta provide, I gotta provide, where that motherly instinct just kicks in like your mom did, right? But then you're like, no, I could rewrite a different story.
Yes. You hit it right there in the nail. It was about writing a different story, right? I think, sometimes when you have a major disruptor in your, pattern of life, you have two choices. You can let it, define you, or you can let it transform you. And, for us, we knew that, we were a person first. For me, I knew that, business was what I did. It wasn't who I was. So I wanted to make sure that I got back into understanding who I was, what was my purpose. And I think that question happens for everyone at some point in their lives, where they're like, okay, I have lost myself in what I'm doing or what's around me, that I don't know who I am anymore. What is my purpose? And that's kind of where it started. My faith background has always been, even throughout that transition, I've always had, strong faith beliefs. But I believe God takes you from season to season, and you grow in each season, taking you closer to and closer to who He's created you to be. And every season of your life adds on something, right? And for me, getting back to my purpose and really honing in on what is my purpose in life, then from there I can tap into my true self, right? Understanding what are my strengths, making peace with my weaknesses. I would say one thing, a lot of us kind of like think about weaknesses as that, kryptonite of like, we're not even going there, right? We think of ourselves invincible. But I'll tell you what, for me, embracing that my limitations are there to serve me. And I'll give you an example. Understanding that you cannot be everything to everyone.
So good.
That's a limitation that you need to embrace.
Yeah.
Because if you say yes to everything, you're going to say no to something as well.
Yeah, of course.
So embracing the fact that, my energy is finite.
So powerful.
So if my energy is finite, then I need to be intentional with what I give my energy to. And sometimes as an, overachiever, you're like, no, I don't want to miss out on anything. I don't want to miss out on any opportunity. I don't want to, but something, you're going to miss out on something else. So getting clear on your purpose, on what's important to you, getting clear on what are your strengths and what are your limitations, right? Because you can hear my story and see one part of it, but the background, soundtrack that's happening is, I was also dealing with a lot of limiting self-beliefs. I was compensating, right? I learned so many amazing things from my mom, like diligence, drive, skill, right? I was a very driven little girl, but at the same time, I was coping. I was coping with some of the things that maybe brought trauma to me growing up in a single parent household and everything that we had to go through. I was using some of those coping skills were showing up as ego, was showing up as, needing to never have to lack the way that I lacked in certain ways. And healing all those things created a different mindset and how we wanted to build this life at that point moving forward, individually, as a woman, and as a wife, as a mom, as a leader. And that took time. And that is a continual, guys, for me, and this is just my story, and for a lot of the mentors and coaches that I work with, it's a continual growing process. Because what we forget is that, we live in time blocks of seasons, right? And sometimes we think that, we're in a season where it's just hustle, 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 and then it's perpetual. But meanwhile, your life is living you, right? And you can be in a season where, at this time might be you need to focus a little bit more on yourself. You
That's the
know,
season I'm in.
hey, listen, I feel that we all need to kind of have that as a priority so that you can scale healthy. If you're just scaling, but you're just forgetting about yourself. I've been there and I've ran myself through
And it's not
2019.
healthy. It's not healthy. It's toxic.
2019 was one of those years where I had the most scariest health challenge that put me out for almost 2 years. But it was because I failed to look at my season for what it was, and I paid the price for it. So moving in knowing your season, I would say, if I can say what are one of the key things, I say three key things that brought me to this mindset was, number one, knowing myself, right? Knowing what my weaknesses are and embracing them, knowing that they can work for me, and then knowing my strengths, right? I am the type of person that, I am very intentional in, my energy, because I know my energy is finite, right? I need to know how to manage my energy. So, there had been times throughout, my career that I have come across amazing people that I admire, people that I want to be around and even emulate in certain ways, but they're not me. Their energy it's not me, right?
Doesn't match, doesn't match.
It
And I will
doesn't
tell
matter.
you, I've been living in that space recently where I had so many opportunities and they continue to come. But the decision making for me has been that internal compass of, does it feel right? Does it are the people I want to be around? Not every opportunity has to be a yes. It could just be an opportunity of getting to know them and discovering what I needed, or what's aligned with me and what's not aligned with me, and having clarity with yourself and knowing what it might be the most money, it could be the best opportunity, but if you can't sit well with it, or you're just not feeling yourself, or not at the best at your best, it's not bringing out the best version of you. Sometimes it's okay to say, not today.
Yes. And
Maybe.
having the courage to making that decision.
Oh my God. Well, our ego wants to suppress us, right? Our ego wants to remind us and get us back into the same habits, and, like saying, no, 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 no. You're supposed to whore yourself out. You're supposed to always chase the dollar. You're supposed to do this. Like, wait, what am I? You're reprogramming yourself to do what's best for you versus what's best for everyone else. Your ego's like, no, because that's going to come with shame. That's going to come with this. That's going to come with other things that it wants to remind you of. Like, you got to go back into that pattern. But when you break that pattern, and you're like, no, I'm going to do what's best for me, it feels scary, and it is uncomfortable too to make that decision, because if you're like me, I was a people pleaser. I wanted to please everybody. And me, at at what cost? At the cost of Veronica suffering in a lot of the things, because she took on too much energy from other people. And yeah, I feel like it's a journey, right? We're on this journey, but once you realize that, you are able to make better, I would say, decisions, and you're more focused, and you do the things that set your soul on fire. And
Yes.
you can grow through it. And there are just things that you just have to do. Like, sometimes it's just, let me think about it. Let me pause. Let me think about, if this were to work, how it should work, so that we're all happy. Doesn't mean you say no always. It's just sometimes you just have to revisit it. And recently, something that I learned is that it's okay also to collect enough data and collect enough information to change your mind too. It's okay
Yes.
to grow out of certain things. And it's like, just because you made one decision doesn't mean you have to be stuck to that decision for the rest of your life, because you made the decision back in that season based on where you were at. But as you evolve and grow into the next phase of your life, you become a completely different person, and your thought process is going to be a little different, or you now make decisions differently. And it's okay to change your
So
mind.
good. It's so good. Man, I talk to leaders all the time, especially young entrepreneurs. And I kind of see myself 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And I know, when you're so driven and you want to accomplish so many things, you feel like that's not on the table for you. Like you cannot afford to say no to the opportunity. You cannot afford to walk away from everything and anything. But I believe that what has brought the most confidence, personal confidence to myself, almost like that saying godfidence, is understanding who you are. Because when you understand who you are, number one, you are not going to be intimidated by anybody in the room, because you're owning who
Mm,
you are. You know your strengths, you understand your weakness, you operate in your strengths, right? And that could be as high level or as practical as you want to put it. When you are starting out and you know what you're good at, then it's easy for you to stay and thrive in that lane. And then what you're not good at, then it doesn't become a distraction for you, right?
yes.
You can outsource that. You can find someone that's good at that if you need that element in your life or in what you're doing. But you're thriving because you're growing in that strength. And then you don't feel like, man, I don't know what I bring to the table, because the table that I'm in is so diverse. I love that. I
That is
love being in
that is
diverse
such
space.
a superpower. That is such a superpower to bring energies together, the right community together, bring people out in their talents and embracing that, hey, you're stronger than that in my area. Collectively, imagine what we can do together when we're all operating in our superpower. And your superpower is an area where I don't have that superpower. Hey, real quick, I sent you something. So you saw me a little distracted. I sent you a text and I bought like 7 of these, 8 of these. And I was just thinking, because I'm in my own spiritual journey right now. And I bought a bunch and I said, God, I know that there's people that I want to bless with this because they have inspired me. But I bought this shirt and I've already gifted one to Yvette Kendrick, who's someone that I feel is just a blessing in
Love
my
her.
life, and you too. And we've done a prayer circle together, and I think I've shared with you where I'm on my own spiritual journey. But it was it was something I saw on IG. I get sucked up on these things, but it says prayer is included in my business plan, boss and believer.
Yes.
So
I saw that. Oh, I saw that as well. And I loved it. I saw it. Who I saw it on? Mike Collier had it in a Zoom we did. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, yes.
just know that it'll be in on the 15th. I've already
Thank
ordered it. And I was like,
you.
God, I feel like you want me to buy this and you want me to gift it forward, and that we can talk about how
Faith
blessing,
and business can
business
align.
and alignment and intention and spirituality can be a
Yes.
part of your
Yes.
business strategy,
Yes.
whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer. But
Mhm.
it was something that, especially right now, people need more prayer than ever.
Yes.
And I just want to tell you how much you inspire me in that phase of in that area of my life as I continue to exercise that muscle, and that insecurity that I haven't always probably been, as aligned with my faith as I should have been. But I'm growing in that space because I have insecurities. But I have people like you around me who are just amazing believers and bosses and leaders, and just appreciate everyone's journey where they're at. So just wanted to gift that to you and let you know that
Thank
thank you
you.
for showing me
That
how
means,
those two worlds coexist, and it's a beautiful blessing.
oh, I love you so much for that. You're so special to me, Vero. You'll make me cry in this broadcast. Don't do that to me.
Oh no, no.
Listen, I think I love that you kind of segued into that, because my faith to me is everything. It's the pillar that I stand in, right? When I talk about, know yourself, know your purpose, in order for me to really know my true purpose, I need to know my creator, right?
Mm,
And to know my creator, then I can have a relationship, right? It's like, first I had to meet you, And then spending time with you, I got to know you. And then a relationship was formed. And the more we spend time together, then the more connected we become. And that's the same thing with your faith journey, right? We're all in different places in our faith journey, but it doesn't matter where you are. You can pick up where you are and start that journey and let it become stronger and deeper. And as you do, then that's where the confidence comes, right? Like for me, actually, I kind of had a little dialogue with Yvette Kendrick on this. Is about finding your voice, right? And I think we all struggle with this, that we start in business and we are kind of like green and ready to take on the world and eat everything alive. And then we get around other people, right? Because like attracts like, right? So you begin to have successful people are going to surround you. And what happens is a lot of time we lose our voice because we're like, wait a minute, this person is so loud, in their lane and they're crushing it. And this person is in their lane and they're crushing it. And then you begin to get surrounded by so much noise. If you do not know where your source comes from, then you can begin to get so overwhelmed by that. And then you forget who you are, the trueness of your identity, the gift that has been put in you. Each and every one of us has such a unique, dynamic gift to this world, right? But in order for us to understand that gift, we need to go back to who gave it so that clarity can come. So then that you can stand in that, and then truly your voice, your grain of sand, your brick that's meant to go in the wall of life, truly has clarity around it. And then it doesn't matter where you are, because you're just a complement. You're confident in what you bring to the table, and you're continually being able to bring the right contributions because they're not coming from any other source but the one that gave it to you. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't find inspiration in others. I'm all about that. I'm surrounded by incredible, powerful, purposeful leaders, and I find inspiration in them and camaraderie in them. But my source, my true source, that one remains the same because that's who gives me clarity. That's what centers me. That's what gets me through every rough patch. I can stand immovable. He's an anchor for me. And so I truly believe that, your faith and your beliefs are truly a foundation that you can then scale on, then you can grow on, that no matter what comes, because the storms of life come to every house. It doesn't, you're not exempt, friend. It doesn't matter how much you're crushing it. The storms of life come to every house. So it's so important for us to find our anchor and truly know, where we're standing. And it's just as easy as just embracing the fact that there's a source that you can tap into, that you can grow a relationship with, that can bring you clarity, that can center you. And then what you breathe out, what you bring out, it's you, and it's beautiful. I was listening to this podcast the other day, and it really stuck with me for this season. And this spiritual leader, his name is Stephen Chandler. He's a pastor, and he was saying that God gives us all gifts. They're all individual gifts, but just like any investor, he does expect a return on investment on that gift. Okay. And I know that sounds maybe a little intimidating or scary or whatever the case may be, but it really isn't. It's just us tapping in and understanding that there is a gift in us, and it's up to us to develop it. It's up to us to sharpen it. It's up to us to allow God to really define that in us, right? John Maxwell has for me, one of the most amazing definitions of success. And I embrace this with my whole heart. And he says, success, number one, is knowing your purpose in life, growing your gifts to your maximum potential, and sowing seeds of greatness in others. It's a progression, right? First, you work on getting to know your purpose in life and allowing to be confident in who you are, your strengths, your limitations, living in that lane, and then growing your gifts to your maximum potential, right? Growth is intentional. So things like Friday Fire, getting around community that are going to inspire you, they're going to push you forward. And then taking that and sowing seeds into other people's lives. So that
Blessing forward without anything in return other than just you being aligned with your purpose and gifting to the world the magic that lives within you. I say it every day, and sometimes we lose focus, sometimes we forget, but that's a great exercise for you to recenter and get really, really purposeful. And every once in a while we fall off, but it's okay to go back and say, hey, like we're growing in this, and it's okay to ask for help too. It's so okay to ask for help. I've asked you for help, you've asked, like we asked, like, hey, help me in this area, like I'm kind of feeling stuck. But we like to keep the show at a specific timeline to honor your time and the integrity of our little 30-minute show. But this has been such a blessing to hear you share your gift of a coach, of an entrepreneur, of a believer, of a woman of God who's on a mission to go help more people find their purpose and find their success. So I want to thank you for doing this, because I think more than ever, people need to hear this message. Guys, real estate, it's easier than, it's tough right now, but you heard resiliency. Don't give up, putting in the work, making sure that you identify your strengths and your weaknesses, leaning on people who also have other strengths that maybe you might say it's, they're stronger in that area, and coming together and what you both can do for each other. And then just having the right mindset, the heart, the purpose, the passion. You're going to get through it, and we're going to be here for you. You'll see a number texting below. Text Veronica 407-519-3995. Would love for you guys to text me if you found that this episode was helpful and you want to stay connected more in yes, real estate, but also more in what we're doing in our community and bringing amazing speakers like Michelle. And we have other speakers, and nominate someone. If you want us to interview someone that you feel is making an impact in their community, inspiring people and helping more people dream, motivate, inspire into the future. That's the ultimate goal here. Join our community, follow us, and give a big follow and a big hug to Michelle, virtual hug. And if you know her, give her a physical hug. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here. We are so honored to call you a friend, a leader, and a partner in our world. Thank you for blessing Fire Friday with another amazing episode. We will see you guys next time.